when we say the battle plan, right? It's like, yeah, it's going to live in your brain, and then you're also going to make it live on paper somewhere, and it's going to help you keep the wheels from falling off and also stay in flow so that you're aware of where these people are going to come from, because you do have a plan in place. So for me in the beginning, that was critical. Hello, and welcome to Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. This podcast is dedicated to chiropractors who are in the seasons of launching and building their practice. Join myself, Dr. Lona, and my co-host, Dr. Bobby, as we have conversations each week as it relates to building the practice of your dreams. And remember, you can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. We're here to lead you on the way.
What's up, team? Welcome back to the Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast with the amazing Dr. Lona Cook and myself, Dr. Bobby Olajasovic. Dr. Lona, what's happening, lady? How's your day?
My day's going great. I had a busy morning and training my team, and now getting to spend the afternoon with you. So it's a great day. How about you?
I love it. Look, mine's just kicking off. So it's morning time here where I am. It's 7 a.m. So kicked off about an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago, but it's been good. I've had a fabulous week. So yeah, we've been doing, I know we're having a marketing conversation today. We've been doing a lot of marketing. I go away, I'm overseas for a few weeks, in a couple of weeks. So I like to stack my team in all of my offices, right, full of newies before I go. So yeah, it's fitting today that we're talking about battle plans for marketing in practices, particularly those people that are in launch and build. And because next week we're going to cover the people that are in scale and that are in exit. Because yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing right now, right? We've got our battle plan built out for our office over the next, really for the second half of the year, but we've been pedal to the metal right now in the last couple of weeks. We're just filling it with newies. So it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And Bobby, you said something right there I don't want to gloss over, which is that you've had your plan in place for the second half of the year. It's not like you're just thinking about it now, right? So marketing should be this like very planned out event with a calendar in place of what's going to happen each month. It's not something like, oh, we're lapsing on our new ones, now we start marketing, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right. So let's get stuck into this, because I know last episode we spoke about this, guys. We said today's episode is going to be the battle plan, okay? Marketing mastery, the battle plan for filling your practice with newies. And today's episode is specifically going to be aimed at people who are in launch and build, okay? However, if you're a doc that's in scale, let's listen to this. Believe me, you can learn a lot from this as well. So don't tune out, because there's going to be things I'm going to be shaping here, and like Dr. Lona's going to be shaping here just for you. And then next episode, we're going to be doing the battle plan for people that are in scale and exit. And let me just first differentiate the two. Okay, when it comes to marketing, what we want to understand is that we need to commit usually one of three resources, if not all three. And those resources are a combination of time, energy, and money. So when you're in early days of practice, there's things that you want to do that really are low cost, but high touch. So high touch means more time. They're going to take more time. They're going to take more energy. But hey, we have more of that, right? When we're in launch and we're in build. Later on, when we're in scale, we usually have more resources. So as a result of that, we can leverage resource, and we can buy expertise, and we can buy time with resources. Now, if you're someone that's in the blessed position, unlike me, I wasn't in this position when I launched, but if you're someone in the blessed position that you're launching and you have resources around financials too, feel free to get stuck into the stuff that we're going to talk about next week when it comes to, scaling. But absolutely don't miss the fundamentals. It kills me these days when I see new practices and I talk to them about marketing, and they say, yeah, we do social media ads. And they think chiropractic marketing is social media ads. Okay, that's one part of chiropractic marketing, a beautiful part of it, an absolutely leverageable part of it, but that's not the entire game. Okay, that's the first thing to understand. Dr. Lona, have you seen that? Have you experienced that as well?
Yes, there's actually been a few newer docs I've talked to that had a really hard start because they thought that that's all they needed to do was create reels or content for social media, and that new people would like flood their doors. So, there's multiple hats to be wearing, of course, but you can't just leave marketing in that one container of what I put online, right? So spot on, Mark. I think it's important, but we need to be thinking about the other baskets as well.
Yeah. And like I said last week, I want to be having and conversations. You should do that and do all the other things that are available to you, and just make it rain, geez, make it pour with new patients. All right. So here's where I want to kick off with this. Let's put this battle plan together, Lana. Let's have some fun with this. I want to circle back now to just what you said, because this is the order in my mind. And I do want you to understand the mindset behind this first before we go through the systems. But when I put together marketing, here's the order that I do it through, first of all. So number one is what I call marketing vision. And marketing vision, like the name suggests, means that I will sit down in my CEO time and I will vision cast about what does marketing success look like for me for that upcoming quarter. So right now, as of recording this, we're moving into August. I would look at it for the second half of the year, particularly the next kind of 3 months, of September, October, November. And when I do this, I literally close my eyes and I vision cast. I'm closing my eyes right now if you listen to this. Like, I'm closing my eyes and I'm vision casting and I'm looking at that particular office that I'm creating this plan for. So those of you guys have multiple offices, I'm looking for that particular office that I'm creating this plan for, and I'm visualizing where it is right now. And I look at the books and how many newies we have roughly on there. And I look at the stats and how many newies we have roughly on there. I look at the volume of the office and where it kind of currently sits, the team of the office, because team shows me the capacity to actually build marketing plans. It also shows me the capacity of how many new patients I can put in there and they're going to get processed successfully. So I get real with the present state, and then I vision cast around what does the next chapter look like for that office. So for example, right now I've got my mothership office. When I'm vision casting for that, right, there's 5 DCs in there, soon to be a 6. My vision casting for that is far different. I'm visualizing literally for that 125 to 150 people every single month going into that office. Whereas let's say there's a brand new office that we've just taken over literally a couple of weeks ago. I am not vision casting 150 new patients for that office. If 150 people came to that office, it would be an absolute shitstorm, right? Literally, I'm visualizing 7 to 10 per week. That's it. All right. So that order of visualization and burning it into my DNA, burning it into my soul, and like getting myself and my mind falling in love with it, that's the first place that I start off with, because it gives me the why behind what I'm going to be doing. What's your experience been with it, Len? I know that you're big in being visionary and vision casting and doing that in your practice. What's your experience with this when it comes to marketing?
I love that you started there. When I was first starting and when I would be teaching some of our subsequent practices, like the main doc that was in there, one of the things that I remember vividly doing was sitting down with my whiteboard and doing just that, where it's like, okay, what's my intention this week? How many people do I want to see? What have I been doing? Because we're looking ahead, but we're also like, where could these people that I've like been out meeting and cultivating connections in the community, the intention behind, like, I'm going out and I'm meeting you and I'm planting these seeds, as well as where are they going to come from? Like, oh, well, I did that talk last week and I've got to follow up here. And so I would always be drawing. And then it also helped me keep the next step in place. So if I needed to follow up with a business I had stopped back at, that went on the whiteboard. So I agree with you, Bobby, like the like strategy, when we say the battle plan, right? It's like, yeah, it's going to live in your brain, and then you're also going to make it live on paper somewhere. And it's going to help you keep the wheels from falling off and also stay in flow, so that you're aware of where these people are going to come from, because you do have a plan in place. So for me in the beginning, that was critical. Now, this is slightly different than probably a lot of offices. One of the things that we're really intentional about is going in places where, for specifically, like if I can talk to the HR department or the business owner, and I can set things up that person makes the decision for many, I've made my entry point easier for, whether it's talking to their employees and giving a talk, or coming in and bringing chiropractic to them. Like, that's part of how we market at this point, is looking at like, well, who do I actually need to talk to open this whole can of worms up here versus just individually. Right. So it's that mindset changed for me as I realized I have less time, I have less energy. Who do I need to cut to the chase and talk to?
Yes. All right. Gotcha. That's beautiful. I love it. And it's part of a 5-step plan, right? So step number 1 is the vision casting. And Lorna even spoke about there how you vision cast about, okay, people that are influencers that have a network that you can get to, that you can speak in front of their groups, right? I love that, because when you're going to go into your marketing with a different intent, when you meet these people, you can actually then compound the effects of your marketing. So there's a 5-step plan. Step number 1 is vision casting. Step number 2 then is getting crystal clear clarity on your marketing goals, i.e. how many new patients do you want per month? You've got to know that number. And to help guide you through this process, let me tell you this. There was an exercise that we did a number of years ago. We surveyed different offices, right? Ranging from 200 visits a week, 500 visits a week, 700 visits a week, 1,000 plus visits a week, right? And one of the questions when we looked at these offices that we asked is, how many new patients a month do you see in the office? And wouldn't that be an interesting answer to get from offices that are at 250 a week, 500 visits a week, 750, 1,000 a week, right? So we wanted to see what commonalities there were. An episode for another time, we found 5 commonalities, by the way, in the offices, but one of the commonalities was the amount of new patients that they were seeing inside of their office. And when we've distilled it all down and we looked at it all, what we actually found is that there's this rule called the rule of tens that existed. And the rule of tens, it was crazy how close to accurate this was, okay? It was roundabout, but pretty on the mark. The rule of tens found that whatever weekly volume an office was on, it roughly had 10% of that as its monthly new patient volume. So 500 a week offices, we're roughly getting about 50 to 60 new patients a month consistently. 700 visit a week offices, we're roughly getting 70 to 80 new patients a month consistently. 1,000 a week plus offices, we're roughly getting 100 plus new patients a month consistently, right? 250 a week offices, we're roughly getting 25 to 30 new patients a month consistently. So we found this thing called the rule of tens. And I have since that day used that as my guide when I do step 2, which is my goals. So when I look at an office, I look at what volume do I want the next chapter of that office to get to. I take roughly 10%. And hey, if you want to do it faster, if you want to accelerate, take 15% of that weekly volume. And that's your new patient monthly target. So if you're a launch office right now and you're like, we want to get to 250 visits a week, right, within the next 12 months, great. I'm going to tell you, you need minimum 25 to 30 new patients a month consistently, month in, month out. If you want to get there faster, if you're like, we want to get there in like 6 months, all right, then you'll need roughly double that. So I found that incredibly useful, this rule of tens. I don't know if that's something that you've observed, Lena, but when doing step 2, which is your marketing goals, I use that rule of tens as my guide.
Yeah, in my experience, Bobby, after you and I had a discussion about this maybe 6 months ago, and I started really thinking about it, I'm like, gosh, I wish someone would have said that to me 15 years ago. It's so great. And seems true.
Yeah, it really helps guide me a lot in my decision-making process. It's like, I know where I'm going. Great. I know how many new patients we got to design a plan for, because that brings me to step number 3. Okay, so step number 1 is vision casting. Get your DNA to fall in love with it. Step number 2, get clarity around your goals and how many new patients you want. Okay, step number 3, this is now, I would say, when you're preparing for the rubber to hit the road. And that is put together your marketing plan. Marketing plan is where it starts off, which means grab a piece of paper, and here's how I put together a marketing plan. I write down every system that I'm going to be using now to hit those goals. So because this is a battle plan for a launch practice, we want to be leveraging systems that save you money. Okay. If you want to save money, you're probably going to pay with time and energy. So the 2 things that will save you the most money, okay, and that will leverage your time instead and your energy is spinal screenings, talking in front of audiences, and then number 3, never ever forget the compounding effect of when all those people come in, you want to be focused on turning 1 into 3. Okay, for every single person, because it costs you almost nothing, 100, 200, 300 bucks, right? Some expos or some events can be a little bit more than that, but it costs you a lot of time to go on the weekend and get outside your practice and to shake hands with a lot of people and meet a whole bunch of people and collect names. And remember what we said last episode, collect everyone's names, even the ones who don't sign up as newies. But screenings and talks, absolutely, for me, was the foundational layer of probably building to our first, I would say, 300 visits a week. We didn't do any social media marketing up at that point. It actually wasn't, it was kind of just in its infancy stages, but we did a ton of screening, a ton of speaking. And you know what it made me really good at? It made me really good at communicating chiropractic, and it made me really good at learning how to sell chiropractic. So I'm not sure what your experience has been with screenings. Lena, how have you gone in the past? Is that something that you guys leverage in your offices as well?
Yeah, actually, screening is not something we've ever really utilized. So to be honest, we did a ton of talks in the beginning. I can remember I I would just go everywhere and anywhere that I could. I met so many people in the first year to 2 years if I could attend something, I was there, I was networking. If I could door knock and stop in places like different businesses and introduce myself, I did that. I made like a game out of it. How many places could I be? And I remember hearing multiple times, like, I've seen you everywhere. And I just remember thinking, yes, like that's what I want to hear, is that you're starting to see our ad, or I've stopped into your business, or I'm at the chamber event, or wherever I could be, there I was. And if I could host a talk there, like whether it was at a local restaurant, the library, my office, like I would just speak wherever I could. So I really just pounded the pavement and spoke as many places as I could. And then, like Bobby said, like the more that you can speak chiropractic and turn one family member into multiple family members as you're educating them and just stewarding this thing called chiropractic, because you do want to help the whole family, don't be afraid to ask. That was a huge point for me. It was just realizing what Bobby had said on the last podcast. Who do you know? Who can I help? Asking questions about their family, find out what else is, going on with them. And then don't be afraid to speak up about how chiropractic can help them. So critical.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that. So if you look at now this step of creating a plan, this is the battle plan, step number 3. Once you have your goal of how many new patients you want, remember last episode, if you haven't listened to this yet, please go back and re-listen to this. One of the things that I spoke about is you can do one-to-one warm outreach and one-to-one cold outreach. So Lona just said something critical there, where she was getting out and doing as many talks and getting in front of as many audiences as possible. So when you do your one-on-one outreach to people, which costs you how many dollars, Lona, to reach out to somebody?
0.
There you go. It costs you $0 to reach out to somebody. When you do your one-on-one outreach, okay, you can do one-on-one outreach related to speaking, related to sharing health and wellness message. That one-on-one outreach might be something along the lines of, hey, Lona, we have a corporate health and wellness company. One of our missions inside of our holistic health practice is to get out there and speak. We actually do this free of charge. Do you know any companies that will be looking to improve the performance of their employees, get better outcomes for their team, and bring extra value to all their staff? Send 10 of those messages out a day, and you'll get an average response rate of 3. You'll get roughly 3 people respond, and you'll get an average of 1 per 10 that takes you up for the next step, which is, hey, let's have a meeting about it. All right. So think now like that. If you just committed next week to saying, all right, I'm going to put together this message and I'm going to send 10 of them every day over next week, Monday to Friday, you can have the weekend off. You'll send 50 of these out. If you send 50 of these out, you will wind up with a minimum 3 to 5 talks on the back of that. And it costs you how many dollars?
0.
Just making sure.
Yes. Yeah, that's how we built our practice, was a lot of that just one-on-one, or trying to figure out who made decisions for other people. And it blossomed into our practice that's now operational totally in other factories and schools. So it is a model in and of itself, for sure.
Now, there's a rule in promotion that the generalist says, okay, for every 75% of giving or value that you're giving, you can do 25% ask. All right. In fact, that's why if you look at a TV show, if you've got a 30-minute TV show, you'll roughly have 22 minutes of like actual airtime, and the other 8 minutes is what? You don't watch TV, right, Lena?
No.
It's commercials. Right. So if you look at a 30-minute show, there's 8 minutes of commercials, and there's 22 minutes of actual airtime. That's the formula for enough promoting where it doesn't irritate you to switch off, okay, but keeps you engaged and it keeps you hooked. So just use that formula, all right? 75, 25 giving value before you ask for something. So if you have a database, I don't care how big your database is now. It could be 100 people. It could be 200 people, all right? You might be listening to this and you might say, shit, I've actually got a database of like 10,000 people. You are sitting on a gold mine. But you can then utilize technology to do one-to-one to multiple people. Don't confuse technology with like something being one-to-many. So you can use an application, let's say Text Magic, all right? You go online and find Text Magic. It'll cost you like, I think it's like 2 cents per SMS. You put together what I just said in an SMS, so long as you built some value with that list, right? And then send that message out to the entire list. And I don't care if it's 250 people, you'll get 5 or 6 people respond back to you saying, yes, please, I'd love to know more information about that. Bang, you just got 5 leads for people that are interested in talks. Right?
You're a marketing genius, Bobby. That's fantastic.
I've just thought about it a lot. I've put a lot of conscious energy and laps around the track with doing this multiple times. So, it's something that's simple, but it's far-sighted simplicity when you understand like the inner workings of the human mind and promotion, how that works, right?
Right.
Yeah. So battle plan, guys, for a launch practice is let's get out and talk to as many people, either one-on-one talking, which is spinal screenings, one-to-many talking, like we'll learn to leverage, which is external talks. And you can source those through all the leads that you already possess. Okay. You can source those by going onto things like Facebook events page, go onto Google and to type events near me, right? Go and do some searching, right? And like, festivals around me, spring fairs around me, school festivals around me, and get your butt to every single one of those that you can.
Yeah.
All right. Remember that when you're launching, especially when you wake up in the morning, the first thing that you should be doing for at least 4 hours is finding new patients. Like it's the number one priority. It's like adjust and save lives and educate people that you're already trusting you. And number two, market and promote the message of chiropractic. Right? And you want to be stacking it because then that takes me to step number 4. Once you've got a plan, you can insert that plan into what's called a marketing calendar. Then a marketing calendar means I don't want to have to wake up in the morning and think what I'm going to do. I want to have that planned out already. And the night before, I want to have reviewed it. So when I wake up in the morning, I get straight to doing. And I love what I read about this, and that 4 hours comes from somewhere. I read this that the exact quote, it was actually taken from a book. And funny, I took a photo of this. I used it in my pre-shift inspiration because recently we have a few new DCs in my office. And so I wanted to share this quote. All right, here it is right here. You ready? So it says this. I'm going to quote this. This is from a book from a guy called Alex Hormozi. I love a lot of his stuff. He says this. When starting out, getting new customers should take the majority of your time. Think minimum 4 hours per day. It should be the first thing that you do when you get up, and it shouldn't stop until you achieve your goal. Embrace the work. It'll be part of the story that you tell one day. And I could not agree with that more. That's exactly the mindset around when you're putting this together as a calendar. So you don't have to get up in the morning and think. You get up in the morning, get yourself in the right frame of mind, and you get out and start finding people.
That's so good. Love that. Bobby, you said the word stacking, and I just want to make sure everyone in the US especially knows like that, means like you're putting all your patients together, right? So doing your best to cluster book so that you have that, because I'll hear new docs saying like, well, I didn't have time to market today. And it's like, but you only saw 4 people or you only saw 8 people. So cluster them together wherever you can so that you have the time in your day and you chisel that in, just like Bobby said, it needs to be in your schedule that 4 hours gets in. And the other thing I wanted to point out is like, there are obviously some nuances if you're in a very small area, like a rural area versus a bigger city, like, yeah, sheer numbers are different. And the ways you may approach some of the marketing is going to be different. So just know too, if you're in a smaller town or a smaller region, like you may realize that your ads, and whether it's social media ads or like you being around these people, these are the people you're going to do life with, right? So again, like we said this last time, like you're playing a long game here. You're immersing yourself in the community because you're there to steward chiropractic in this community. And you may not meet everyone. However, in a smaller town, you have a pretty good chance of eventually being very influential in that town.
And can I also say in smaller towns, there's less competition for eyeballs. So I live in a major city, for example. I'm being promoted to left, right, and center. You want an example of this? Walk through Times Square in New York, right? Arguably one of the biggest cities. It's like there's promotion everywhere. So what those marketers are competing for, they're competing for attention. Attention is the currency. It's like it's very hard to get attention because they're being promoted to left, right, and center. In certain rural areas that we're in, regional areas, there's less competition for eyeballs. So it's easy to get attention, right? Which means even though the pool is smaller, getting attention is easier. So it balances out nicely like that.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Love it. Love that you brought that up. Really good point. And guys, if you get confused with your area when you listen to this and you're like, but my area is different, great. Just reach out to Dr. Lona and I'll show you how it's not different. And we'll show you exactly how to get it to work. Yeah. And then that brings me to step number 5, the final step. And this is the one, quite frankly, that brings it all together. I mean, we can talk about this as much as we want, but if we don't execute step number 5, nothing really tends to happen. So the amount of great marketing plans that I see that end up just floundering away and nothing happens really comes down to step number 5. And that is to then take action on that marketing calendar. All right. And I like to even get this, Lona, pre-plan my action. So like, all right, I want to think about if I'm doing a screening, I already plan, all right, what am I going to say? What's my scripting? What's my dialogue? I visualize as well, people coming by, stopping, right? So that it's not like, all right, take action. I don't know what to do now. I've already put conscious energy and thought into that.
Yep. Speed of implementation, right?
Exactly right. So it's take action. Don't be, well, I can't do talks. I learn it's easy for her. She speaks great. Were you a great speaker when you first started off?
No, and I remember just being awkward, even just talking one-on-one about some of these things. So, if you feel really awkward, talk to yourself at first, record yourself, practice what you're going to say, keep doing that, keep watching yourself. You're going to build that muscle.
Yeah, spot on, right? When you feel something that makes you feel scared or awkward, that for me, I look at that as the path towards your destiny. In other words, do it.
Yes. If you're not uncomfortable every day, you're probably not building your practice.
Yep, spot on the mark. I love that. What a great quote. If you're not uncomfortable every day, you're probably not building your practice. I'm going to write that down. That's a really good. Yep, because that never changes, does it?
No. It's just a different animal.
Yep, 100%. Exactly right. So there you have it, guys. 5-step plan for putting together a marketing plan. And this one specifically is for launch and build. Starts off with vision, then moves to goals, clarity with your goals. Then let's put together a marketing plan. We spoke about, low cost items, spinal screenings, going out, meeting people one-to-one, shaking hands, meeting business owners. Then we spoke about one-to-many that's free, going out to other people's audiences, reaching out to them, putting fish bowls out, get information from people, put them in your
Volunteer.
Volunteer, right?
Somewhere,
Go 100%, right? Send out an SMS campaign to your database 3 times over the space of 1 week. Tell them that you're running corporate health and wellness events. It costs you, all right, that one might cost you $5, right? You'll send that out to everyone. Start putting posters up through your office. Build it through your Better Results Faster workshops. Start putting it into different business owners in your area that you've met, okay? And just start getting out. And instead of shaking hands and greeting babies, do as many spinal screenings and talks in front of groups as possible. And then we're going to take a percentage of that money that you start making, and then you tune into next week's episodes, because we're going to show you, once you start getting some cash roll, okay, exactly where you should start investing that. And second to this, if you're listening to this in your scale doc, I hope you've got some good reminders about what I know probably built your practice back in the day. All right. So trust me, those things still work. We've got a talk booked next week, 2. We've got one on Wednesday night. Okay, that's a dinner workshop. Right now it's confirmed for 40 people. Then we've got one on Thursday night, which is an advanced workshop. Right now it's confirmed for 78 people. That's still talks, right? So there's still talks. So as a reminder to you guys who are in scale listening to this, I bet you that's how you built your practice. And guys, that still works. So go back and design your marketing calendars, incorporate that, help fill up your associates, and help spread the message of chiropractic, because it's a wonderful message, is it not, Lona?
It's a beautiful message. And you can get referrals for your talks, right? Like, so you talk for one business, ask them for a little testimonial to help you set up the next talk, all of those things, good ideas.
Don't get me started on testimonials, social proof, guarantees, bonuses. We'll go there. Hang on, we'll go there. Yeah, right. All right. As always, Lona, it's been an absolute pleasure. Love talking tick with you. Love talking new patient marketing with you as well.
You're awesome, Bobby. See you next week.
All right, guys, have a fantastic week. Of course, if you've got any questions from today's show, please reach out personally to either Dr. Lona or myself. We are happy to guide you any place that you need. We don't want you feeling stuck, because there is a solution for everything. So just reach out and we'll work out what's the best battle plan for you. All right, guys, have an amazing week, and we'll catch you next week.
See ya. Thanks for listening to this episode of Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, share with your friends, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, please click the links in the show notes to schedule a call.